Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Matthew back with the second episode of Series 2 of the My Favorite Hasbro tournament. So, just to recap real quick before we just dive into the next battles. So, in the last video, in the beginning of Series 2, we saw the Robert Jackson custom Honky Tonk Man defeat the other custom and original. Jim Duggan custom from Raider Nation defeated original and other customs. The Robert Jackson Roddy Piper custom defeated the original. And Crush from Demolition defeated Jimmy Snuka. Alright, so we got a few more matchups here with a couple areas where we're going to do individual versus customs. Before we get into the tag teams, we're going to start off with some of the original one-on-one individual battles. So the first one we're looking at is my favorite among the three. And it is the green suited $1 Million Man. So obviously, I said it before, I had this particular figure as a kid, so it does mean a whole lot more than any of the other $1 Million Mans. I never had the black suit Series 1, nor did I have Series 9, or is it Series 10? I can't remember if it's 9 or 10. I think it's Series 9 $1 Million Man. Actually, I'm pretty almost positive it's Series 9, where he's not wearing any suit. So, aesthetically, an absolutely gorgeous piece, and just real quick, you know, what Random Treasures did with theirs, it's one of the reasons why I was so quick to kind of jump and grab the green suited $1 Million Man when Random Treasures did their posting for that figure. Again, I mean, it's just a good fighting pose figure. Aesthetically, he looks fantastic. Never had the accessory as a kid, of course. You know, we never had any of those accessories. They always lost them. Just a very playable figure, and it really could do no wrong. I think at some point, maybe this leg did break off, or maybe the arm broke off or something. A number of our figures, you know, were damaged, and they did have missing limbs. So you're normally sitting there battling with one arm, which always sucked. Because, you know, you gotta sit there and make believe to have a right arm or left arm, or it wasn't fun. But this one, memories, this was a solid figure, constantly used, and it was pretty much used from beginning to end. And yeah, the first battle is gonna feature $1 Million Man against the Immortal One. So this is one of the most interesting figures of the entire Hasbro line. I kind of compared this Series 2 Hulk Hogan from Hasbro to the Hulk Hogan Series 5 from LJN. It could potentially be the worst figure of the entire line, or it could be the best figure of the entire line. Worst figure because it's an unplayable figure. Best figure because aesthetically it is a beautiful display piece. And the pose would be perfect for display purposes. But, again, it is an unplayable figure. You're not sitting there and putting anybody in bear hugs like that. I mean, how often do you do something like that? I remember as a kid, you know, you wouldn't sit there with your hands in and try to wrestle anybody. If you were actually using this figure, you would seriously fight just like this. You would throw your punches. You may get in a headlock, or, I don't know. I don't know how you'd wrestle this guy. It sucks because Series 1 with the bench press did such a fantastic job, and then in Series 2 it just made no sense. But aesthetically, this figure, if you were to open the arms and leave him open like that, he would look very much like the Series 3 Hulk Hogan. So I think they took the same general idea. I mean, it's not 100% identical, but again, the same general idea, and just altered it a little bit. Like they changed the shirt in Series 3, you know, threw a headband on, but for the most part, it's relatively the same figure. I've had this figure as a kid, as I said. So having both figures from childhood, that plays into, obviously, nostalgic reasons. Aesthetically, like I said, one of the best looking figures you'll find, but there's never in a million years would you choose a Hulk Hogan over this Ted DiBiase for this battle. I mean, to me, this is a strong contender, and looks great, unplayable, no doubt, $1 Million Man over Hulk Hogan all day long. So green suit pushes forward to round 2. Next battle, I'm actually going to dive into the tag teams because I only have 2 more tag teams, and then that, of course, in the last video I mentioned a one-on-one battle because I want to keep everything even numbers across the board. So I'm doing a 3-man matchup in the last battle. So for the ease of this video, I just pulled the carded figures off. So we're going to start with the Bushwhackers. I also mentioned in the last video, because a lot of my figures are falling off their stands, knocking over other figures, I decided to tape down the feet to all of them. So any of the original figures I have in my casing, I don't touch that. I just let it be and try to find duplicates where I can. So Bushwhackers, you got Butch and you got Luke. Aesthetically, these are a couple of the best looking figures you're going to find in the Hasbro line. I absolutely love the design of the figures to an extent. I love the coloring that they use and everything with the camel pants and all that, but that's where it ends. Kind of like your Roddy Piper figure, the Rockers, Jimmy Snuka. You know, these are a couple of the worst figures to stand up, and it's so annoying. Butch here would have the much better fighting pose. It would have a legitimate fighting pose, where Luke, because of the look of the figure, you know, that to me is a little bit better design-wise, as, again, for display purposes. But as a fightable figure, it's not really all that. And these figures I did not have as a kid. Had I had the Bushwhackers, I would have absolutely loved it. As an adult, I'm starting to not care about the Bushwhackers at all. From childhood up until recently, when I started getting back into my collections, you know, I would have said, okay, yeah, I like the Bushwhackers a lot. I was a fan. But I've talked about how I've gone back and repurchased a lot of old Coliseum home videos. And, you know, I've always seen the Bushwhackers enter the Royal Rumble and literally gone within the first 5 seconds. It is so annoying. I'm like, dude, you're just wasting an entire roster spot on... And yeah, it's staged, get it, but to me that kills the matchup and why it's not that entertaining anymore. Not gonna huff too long on this. I do like the fighting ability of Butch much better, but I am gonna select Luke to move on to round 2. I think part of it has to do with knowing the value. I think Luke is a much more expensive figure than Butch, so I mean, does that really matter? No. You're looking at display. You talk about fightability, playability, and again, I guess nostalgic reasons really play a part as well. But I'm selecting Luke for this battle. Again, for the ease of this video, I'm just gonna go with the carded figures, so I'm not having to pull off the individuals. So a couple of the worst figures of the entire Hasbro line. And it's sad because you think of Series 7, Shawn Michaels with white pants and red hearts, and then later again in Series 10 when he comes out with the black pants with gray hearts. I mean, those aesthetically are 2 of the most beautiful figures of the entire Hasbro line, and they come with an awesome fighting pose. But this one is horrendous in comparison. Now, the Rockers are the only tag team we had as kids, and so these are probably one of the first figures we ever had. Very playable figures, definitely. You know, I enjoyed them, I guess. I knew that they weren't the best. I knew I didn't enjoy them too much, especially because of the fused legs, which makes sense for the Rockers because they did a lot of acrobatics, so that makes it works a little bit better for them. Marty Jannetty, a little bit better figure with the closed fist, arms to the side. Because of the way that Shawn Michaels' arm was kind of posed and his open hand, like, again, high five type of deal, to me, Marty Jannetty was a better figure, but neither one of them were elite figures by any stretch of the imagination. And, what was it? I want to say Series 9 when they came out with the single Marty Jannetty. again, they use the same face, but you know they create a different figure, different body pose, and the Series 9 Marginetti is actually one of the greatest Hasbros. Didn't crack my top 10 list, but I don't see any reason why that figure wouldn't be on my top 20 list. You know, maybe even top 15. I do have a lot of customs for these figures. So they do come from Robert Jackson. I'll take these first ones out. Actually, yeah, I'll keep these in the case, and then the second ones I'll take out of the case. Since these do come with belts, and I don't want to mess that up. So this is the first set from Robert Jackson. Going back and actually watching some old videos, they did wear these yellow pants with like these little black markings all over them, and keeping with the original, you know, paint scheme or you know type of clothing that they did wear, that was pretty spectacular. And I'm trying to see what these belts say. If I'm not mistaken, I believe these were AWA Midnight Rockers with this version, so that was also pretty awesome. I think that he went with that kind of design for the WWF figures. Two spectacular figures. Enjoy them a lot. On a one-to-one basis, do I enjoy the original more than the custom? Obviously, I would get a whole lot more enjoyment aesthetically looking at the custom, you know, repaint. But for that particular matchup, I think I would still stick with the original figures, just because you know sometimes you just gotta push the originals forward. You can't keep giving the victory to the customs. But we don't stop there. Take these out of the casing. Now, these actually are WWF colors, and I want to say the 1990, maybe 91 Royal Rumble. Who did they go against? Not the head. I don't think it was Head Shrinkers. Not Midnight. Well, Oriental Express. I think that's what it was. And I feel like these rockers always highlight a major battle during like a tour. Royal Rumble or SummerSlam or something like that, and they're always victorious. These guys were an absolutely amazing tag team. I mean, they complemented each other so perfectly, and as a kid, seeing Shawn Michaels turn on Marginetti, it was heartbreaking. Then as a kid, you know, when you see Shawn Michaels, you know, basically kick Marginetti in the face and throw him through the glass, you really thought that was real life. So like as a little kid, you're sitting there watching that, man, you're like terrified, like, what the heck? Yeah, to me, even, you know, all these years later, that still hurts. It was sad to see these guys split up. I mean, they're just such an amazing pairing. They probably are my favorite tag team. I know I always say Legion of Doom because of, you know, they just seem more ferocious. They just seem hardcore. And I always look at the design of their face and the shoulder pads and everything. But the Rockers were amazing. This was a legitimate, perfect tag team. And again, I think it was the Orient Express that they faced in this battle wearing these outfits. 1990. I want to say the 1990 Royal Rumble. So good. To me, again, another no-brainer. The Robert Jackson customs are going to be pushed forward to round 2. Now, realistically, if it was just original figures and you weren't including customs in this competition, you probably wouldn't have seen either rocker figure move forward. Not unless they've squared off against each other. Alright, so what time are we at? 14 minutes. Man, I thought this video was going to be done in like 10 minutes. There's not a lot of battles this video, so I'm kind of surprised. So, we'll start with the one I actually had as a kid. Once this figure came, or once we acquired this figure, sure enough, it kind of replaced the Series 1 Ultimate Warrior. Much more playable figure with a much better pose. Kind of like your Series 1 Hulk Hogan with the slam press. Design of the figure all around was absolutely fantastic. And, you know, up until last year, when I finally, for the first time in my life, saw a Series 3 Ultimate Warrior, this was the all-time favorite figure for me, all-time favorite Ultimate Warrior figure. So, I mean, bumping down to number 2 out of 3 figures, not bad, but absolutely love the history of this figure. Again, this was a, multiple championship kind of guy, Royal Rumble winner type of deal. Absolutely love this one. A figure I never had as a kid, and one I was glad to get as an adult. Macho King Randy Savage. I watched wrestling in the late 90s, obviously. Obviously when I was older, early 90s is when I really could start remembering a lot of things. A lot of my memories from childhood basically centered around home videos. So you watch these SummerSlams and Royal Rumble matches, or maybe not Royal Rumble, but WrestleMania, things like that. Yeah, it's like you may have seen man, I'm drawing a blank. You may have seen that WrestleMania 3 as a child, but you didn't watch it in 1987 or whenever it came out. You probably watched it like 1990, 1992, something like that. Some of the things that dealing with Macho King, his manager, Queen Sherry, all that stuff, with Sherry like hitting on Ultimate Warrior, and then, Macho Man, bashing his scepter over the Ultimate Warrior's head, Sergeant Slaughter pinning the Warrior. I remember that from childhood, and I just never could remember him being called Macho King, though, for the sake of me. I mean, obviously nowadays, going back and watching old videos and, rehashing and refreshing those memories, sure, but this is a beautiful looking figure. Not as good as the Series 1. Again, with the extended arm, it's kind of annoying. I didn't bring out all the accessories, so I don't have the accessory for the scepter. But with the crown, I left it on, no biggie. Great paint job overall. I mean, arm is a little bit loose, which sucks, but I mean, that's what I'm talking about, why I'm not a huge fan of this extended arm, because once that screw becomes loose, you could sit there and try and tighten it, but I don't know how you'd even do that. Macho King, if it was just a simply one-on-one battle, history of the Ultimate Warrior, a better pose, Macho Man, the second Macho Man, would already be going home. So it'd be down to Ultimate Warrior. And again, this has to be a 3-man battle because I want to keep the numbers even. Going against Dusty Rhodes. I don't know why I keep thinking Dusty Rhodes is a Series 1 figure, but Series 2 and the unflattering polka dot singlet that he comes with. I see a lot of people, they take who is it? It's got to be someone bulky, like SD Jones or something like that. I'm trying to look at my LJNs right now. I think it might actually be SD Jones. I see a lot of customers turn like SD Jones into, I forget her name, but she was the manager of Dusty Rhodes. That's going to bother me if I can't remember the name off the top of my head. I'll look it up. I mean, at least for personal knowledge. This is such a solid figure. I mean, a lot of the Galoobs do this with the bent knee. I don't like that. But it's a good looking figure. He has a fantastic play pose. This whole one arm up, kind of like, again, like the Orton figure from LJN, is the way that it's kind of curved back or crushed from Series 2. Annoying. A lot of these figures, they come with these one-handed, one closed hand, one open hand. I guess it gives you multiple options for fighting, but it's weird because I did not have this figure. I had this one. I have history with this. I love the Ultimate Warrior from Series 2. But Dusty Rhodes, I mean, aesthetically, play-wise, this is just a beautiful, one of the most elite figures of the entire line. And of course, nowadays you're looking at like a $10 figure, and you're looking at maybe a $50 to $75 figure here. And yeah, I have seen this one go on auction a gazillion different times for like $100, $125, $150. So it does sell. I've sold one or two of these in the past, and I normally get about $57 or something for it, which always sucks. You know, never quite what you want to get for it. And it's like, man, $57. I probably paid that and more with shipping and taxes thrown in. So I don't even try and sell them anymore, not really. But it's nice to have these duplicates, and Dusty Rhodes is a fantastic figure, definitely deserving to go to round 2. I know a lot of people are going to hate me because I've now eliminated 2 Macho Man figures in 2 rounds. I'm a huge Macho Man fan. You know, again, right behind Hogan and Warrior as my all-time favorite wrestler. But, you know what? You're also losing an Ultimate Warrior figure here, and that sucks. So, just to recap, Green Suited $1 Million Man defeats Hulk Hogan. Luke of the Bushwhackers defeats Butch. I call it Royal Rumble. Rockers defeat the other Rocker Customs and the original. And finally, Dusty Rhodes defeats the Macho King and Ultimate Warrior figures. So, just really 4 matchups, which I really don't want to close a series after just 4 matchups, but I mean, my first video of this tournament was only 4 matchups, so. And we're already at over 20 minutes, so the time is there. Trying to think. There are a couple new videos I want to come up with, so I'll probably make those today. And I'm thinking I'll probably post the first one of that before I post the first Series 2 tournament video. I don't know. Well, we'll see what happens. Sometimes I'll make plans and I say it in the video, and then I go back and I do something else. So I might just keep these in order, but we'll see. Again, I don't want to take up too much time as per usual, so I will close the video immediately and talk to you guys in the comments. Let me know what you think. And thanks for watching. Goodbye for now, guys.